everybody, we're back. That's Cool Drink. We're on episode number 4 now. A total of 2 viewers at the moment, which is super awesome. So that's probably Ben's better half and my better half as well. And that's just how this stuff starts. And we'll have a bunch more kind of going on as we go. But I want to bring in, I've got Ben Wood this week. Ben was on the very first Rocky Mountain Race Week, has done a drag week as well, and a bunch of NMRA type of stuff with his Boss 302 Mustang. So I'm going to bring him in, and there he is right there, the man, the myth, the legend, Mr. Ben Wood.
Hey, Adam, how are you? I'm
amazing, dude. And, like we were kind of talking a little kind of before the stream and in this and everything, like, dude, this is super cool. It's been really fun to kind of get an idea of everyone's kind of backstory on this thing. And, you were like, I don't know why you want me on here. And I want you on here because you are a pillar. You're part of the initial Rocky Mountain Race Week. And I'm kind of dedicating my first as many weeks as I can possibly dedicate to those folks. And you're one of those folks. So that's why you're on. That's why you're cool. I think that's why it's really neat to have you on here and get to kind of show off your car and talk a little bit of cars for as long as we need to talk cars. So,
well, and that first year was awesome. And before we get into all that, I just have to say thank you for my freedom, Adam, and your dedication to our country. That's something that's big for me, and I just want to put that out there.
Well, I thank you so much. And we were kind of talking about, you don't remember stuff as much as you used to. And yours from wrecking dirt bikes and whatnot. Mine from jumping out of perfectly good airplanes. And you know what they say, 2 things fall out of the sky, bird shit and fools. So I don't look much like bird shit, but yeah, man. I mean, talking about dirt bikes.
That's dirt bikes. That was a little trip down to Moab, a picture of a picture, kind of a crappy one, but hey, it works.
Yeah,
the old 650R, that thing treated me well for well over a decade. Easily put 7,000 miles in the backcountry of Colorado and Utah on that thing.
Nice.
I've seen some amazing stuff. Rode with so many different friends, pissed off a few friends on the trail selections that I'd love to do. And I put it where you probably shouldn't put that heavy of a bike many, many times. But man, it was fun. It was a blast. And kind of sad that the 2L era is kind of over for me, but it is what it is. And I guess never say never.
Well, totally. And like, I've got my buddy Steve Wolf, who lives out kind of by you, and you're in the Grand Junction area of Colorado, and he's in the same exact boat. He's he's not like a svelte dude. He's a big dude. He rides a big 4-stroke, and there's so many trails that are all around there, and he'll just ride out and just get lost and have a good time. And I'm sure that you kind of have the same sort of feel out there in the Mesa.
Yeah, it's amazing. And we live up on Orchard Mesa of Grand Junction, and there's trails within 20 yards of the house. So literally you can be in the dirt in 10 minutes. And it's a good time. It's absolute blast. And Steve's an amazing cat. He's a hell of a drag racer.
Yes, he is.
He's given me some fits in the DOT class a couple different times, but he's a fun dude. His dad's an amazing cat.
Right.
Great race family there. Very cool people.
His dad, Barry, a Vietnam era vet, and was a door gunner in a Huey. And the stories that dude has are out of this world, dude. But yeah, so big fan of Steve. I think he's probably one of my, now 9 watchers, which is very cool. So
awesome.
But anywho, so dude, Ben, obviously we want to talk about, the Boss and that's this car here. But there it is. Bam. I want to get back to what laid the seed for you in this. What made you into a car person? What made you into a Ford person? What's your kind of background? Give us you said you kind of come from a long line of storytellers. Let's hear it. Let's I'm going to hand it over to you and let's make it happen.
I appreciate that. I was born in Fairmont, West Virginia. There's a small track there that's a drag strip called Eldora Raceway.
Okay.
No longer with us. May it rest in peace. But
may it.
pretty cool parents to take me to that when I was a young kid. We're talking 2 years old to, you know, 5 or 6. We ended up moving out here when I was 7 years old. So for the first few years, we went to that track and got to see some drag racing. Another motorsport that we got to check out as kids was 4x4 mud racing, and
Oh, cool.
this stuff was wild. It was think stadium V8 race trucks, but with a little backslash redneck in there,
Okay. All
and
right.
full on open headers through the hood, just like a circle track car, but 4x4 mix. Man, it was wild. Big horsepower, big noise, mud slinging everywhere.
That sounds fun, dude.
Good stuff to watch as a kid, right? I mean, that was just amazing. So really that, and then my uncle Bill, he was a drag racer before I was born, all the way up through. My brother and I were thrown in the backseat of his 63 Galaxy, a big block 4-speed car.
Nice.
And he took us for a little tour around town, and I'm pretty sure that was the bug bite of the Ford Blue right then and there. My mom also had a very sweet black and silver two-tone F-150 step side truck
Okay.
as a kid, and I remember laying down on the bed of that thing and riding around town and just looking up in the sky, and just good memories and then Fords. And I think that's probably a little bit of why it's kind of odd. My dad's a Chevy guy. He loves Chevy trucks, and he had a Bandit style Trans Am, and
Okay.
pretty cool cars. And it's just I guess like I say, I think Uncle Bill and Mom's truck were kind of what pushed me into the Ford stuff as a very young kid. And really what got me into the Mercuries, and that is my brother's 70 Mercury, and that's the orange Cougar that I sent you that picture.
That one.
It's an amazing car. That was obviously after a paint job. That thing,
This
when I
is
first laid eyes on it, that's my first car. So that's my high school car.
okay.
That's a 73 Mercury Cougar.
Got it. And this one's a 70.
So that's a 70. Yep.
Okay.
And Calypso Coral is the color. XR7 car, so it has the vinyl roof, leather interior, 351 Windsor 4-barrel.
I'm assuming that's that motor.
No, actually, that's the one that's going for my Cougar.
Okay.
So,
All right.
so that's future for my Cougar, but
That one. Oh no, that's
actually
in
in
the
my Comet. We're a little all over the place, but that's okay. We can explain it all.
We're gonna
Yeah.
make it happen. But
No.
so this one here specifically,
Yeah.
though,
That's
this
the
is
starter.
the car.
That's the one that started the Mercury love. They're different, right? And I've always loved the Dare to Be Different stuff.
Oh yeah.
Mercury was obviously one of the spinoffs, for Ford, like Pontiac was to Chevy and stuff.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, those different cars. They're just, I don't know. I've always just liked that. I thought that was cool. I've read Hot Rod magazine since I was a young kid. That stuff, the Dare to Be Different stuff, always caught my eye. AMC stuff, all that. If I was rich, I'd have them all. But obviously, I'm not. I just make poor life decisions with the stuff that I do have.
You and me both, brother. You and me both. So I guess let's dive a little more into the Mercury since we're talking about it. You've got the Comet.
Yeah, the 66. Now this car kind of changed my life direction a little bit. This was a car that I bought the day before Christmas Eve, the year 2000. So everybody's worried about computers crashing and all that.
Yeah.
I said I need a car, So I went and traded a 88 hard body Nissan work truck.
That's a good
and
trade.
$1,200 cash for that car. And it was a 3 on the tree 289 car. And I quickly learned that it was either continue to be an alcoholic or put money into that. And well, the car won, and I'm so thankful for it.
Yeah,
it changed my direction.
Win-win right there.
Yeah, man, and it's weird when you quit that stuff, you lose a lot of friends, right?
Well,
and
friends.
They weren't really friends, because they're not still around. And the other part of it is you realize how much time and bread that you just waste and throw away on stupid stupid, feeling like crap is what you're doing. You're
No,
making yourself
exactly,
feel like
man.
crap. And so like the car put a smile on my face every time I drove it. I'll never forget when I test drove this car, the clutch pedal, the bushings were so wore out in the lever and all the pedal assembly that the pedal would go over and hit the kick panel on the left side of the floor there. And like I say, it was a 3 on the tree when I bought it, a little 289, and had very high low compression. It was like an 8.0 to 1 motor.
Right.
Still sounded good, sounded healthy. Was hell of a fun car to drive, and even got a little second gear rubber with the 3 on the tree a couple times. So I
Yeah,
did
which is
master
pretty
that.
sweet.
Yeah. First thing I ever drove was a tractor. So 3 on the tree isn't far from that. So it worked out pretty good.
Hell yeah. There's you doing a nice greasy burnout with the thing.
Yeah, I was trying to finish those tires off, and amazingly, it did not work. The old BFG radials that was a good hard tire, and that was a fun burnout. I think the next picture kind of looks like Cheech and Chong coming back down the road after that deal. Had
That
the
is
smoke
awesome.
rolling out. You know what I mean? So addiction of a different kind, is kind of how it turned out with that. And I love the car. It currently has a nasty little 289 in it. It's got a set of 64 hypo 289 heads that have a really cool story here in town. Little 64 Fairlane was wrecked. It was a 289 hypo 4-speed car. One of the local gearheads knew it, saw the car wrecked, followed that thing to the junkyard and just begged and pleaded till he could get the heads, the distributor, and
Right.
they're not anything really special other than they're called a hypo head. They have a little spring pocket in the bottom of the valve spring, and it holds the valve spring in there for high RPM use. Is really the only other option other than a standard 289 head.
Got it.
But it has 12.5 to 1 compression, put down 330 horse at the tire.
Yeah, that's
It's got
snotty.
Yeah, it's a rowdy little girl, and it's got a T5 behind it.
Cool.
I've driven it over to Denver a couple times. It's knocked down 20 miles a gallon.
That's
Uh,
awesome.
Been a best of 1330 at right at 100 miles an hour. I fought in tooth and nail to get 100-mile-an-hour out of that car, and it seems mundane now where we're at today. You know what I mean? But from the year 2000 to basically 2012, that was the evolution of that car, and it's it really reached the goals that I'd set out for it, and that's what hot rodding is. I think
Yeah.
we set goals that we can't get to, right, and then we hit them, and then we set new goals that we
Yeah.
can't reach either.
Yeah,
So
exactly. And then you go and hit them. And
yeah,
um,
exactly.
yeah,
Yeah.
that's a ton of it. And then I assume 2012 you bought the Boss.
Yeah, October of 12, bought the Boss. It was actually supposed to be a GT 500. Ford put out a deal with X-Plan customers that you could, you could go down and get a GT 500 for around 40K, which was just unheard of.
That's amazing. Yeah, that's cheap.
Yeah, they were trying to push out the 2012s because they were bringing in that brand new 2013 660 horse monster. So, of course, I went into my local dealers and was looking for a grabber blue car. That's what I wanted, was a grabber blue car. And the color is just it right back to 1970.
Oh yeah,
The
yeah.
idea for
And
what
that's
back then.
I think that's the very first thing I mentioned about that car to you was the grabber blue just sticks out. Um,
It does.
there's
Yeah.
other blues that are out there, but they're not grabber blue, and
And
it's
I mean, they're on V6 cars and everything like that, so it's really not that special. But to me, when I was going to get a new car, that's what I wanted, was grabber blue. And
yeah,
unfortunately, they couldn't come up with a GT 500 that way. And probably it was a good 4 weeks later that finally the dealer in town called and he goes, "Well, I got a grabber blue car, but it's not a GT 500. You should come check it out." And I did, and well, I had to have it. I didn't even need to drive it or anything. I already knew everything there was to know about a Boss 302. But they came out in 2012, obviously, with the 69 C stripes, and then the 2013 cars had the 70 style stripes that are reflective, as you can see in some of the pictures. And it
yep,
just is such a cool like throwback car. But then it obviously has the performance of the new Coyote engine, and it's still a stick car, and it always will be. It's still NA, and it always will be. I set that from day one. I said this is going to be an NA car. I'm not going to like go ragged edge all out NA, but it's
Right.
going to be an NA car. It's going to be a stick car. The original goals for it was mid 11s in Colorado, and we've reached that. We've been 1155 at 118 at our local track here, and we've also been low 1160s at 117 at Bandimere,
Right.
to put a little exclamation point on the Colorado NA Coyote record. There's
Nice.
a
Yeah.
bunch of naysayers over there on the front range saying, he can't do that over here. He can't do that over here. And I think I sent you a pic where I'm in line at a PSCA race in front of a whole line of trucks and trailers. And so I drove
yeah. When you were getting into the track.
So I drove the car to Bandimere and went to a PSCA race, and Bill Armstrong come up and helped me out. And it was an awesome night. Was able to leave around 6,200 RPM. The track was absolutely there.
Here it is.
Bottom 1.5, bottom 150, 60 foots. There it is. Yeah, and that was fun. The racers were coming up and they're like, "You running that thing tonight?" And I'm like, "Yeah, of course, you know." And they're like, "Did you drive it here?" And I'm like, "Yeah." And they're all, "Where from?" I said, "Grand Junction." They're like, "Wow." They're just blown away. And
it's
and
wild.
That's what,
yeah. I drove mine to Grand Junction to compete in a streetcar race, and then drove it home as well. And yeah, that's it's wild. And mine's, we're roughly the same. The Malibu runs like, in the low 12s, high 11s kind of area. And then, yours is a little bit quicker than that. But yeah, I took that thing out there, and it was funny, man. The tech guy out there was like, "Would you drive this from Denver?" And he's like, "It doesn't run like 14s." I'm like, "No, it's a little faster than that." It was like flabbergasted by it. But that's just what streetcar dudes do.
That's it. Don't have a car trailer, so don't have a choice.
Yeah, so that's how you get to the racetrack.
Yeah.
But no, dude. So, and what's the altitude out there in Grand Junction?
I always do corrected, and it's funny, Adam, like, the people on here may be all over the country, and I've gotten a little bit of dirt slung in my face from the California boys and the East Coast boys about, well, you've done all that stuff to your car and it only runs 1150, well, okay. I can do one or two things. I'll give you $1,000 and you can come to Colorado and I'll see how slow your car gets, or you give me $1,000 and I'll come to your home track and show you what mine will run there.
Right.
So it's funny. Really, it's about the same. It's 5,200, I believe, is what it is at Western Colorado. And then, it corrects to about the same as what it does over there. We get, on good nights, you're at 6,900 foot. Really bad days, we're at 8,300 corrected. So
here's pretty close to the same. I'm going to show that video that you sent me. This is, I believe, your first 11-second pass, and this is out in Grand Junction.
Yes, sir.
Yeah, so here's...
That Mustang is like wicked quick.
So yeah, 1183. With that's the first time I played a video organic to the StreamYard. So yay me, that worked.
Nice job, brother.
Here we go. I know I'm working this all out as we go here.
I love it.
But yeah, dude, and again, that's the thing that really catches my eye with that car is the paint with that reflective Boss 302 stripe. And it runs good. It runs hard. It's a stick car. It sounds right. It does all the stuff right. But what's all done to the car? What's the combo? Tell us all about that.
So, when I first got the car, of course, I was already in the forums, which some people may not know what a forum is anymore, but it'll show my age a little bit. It is what it is. The forums are out there. The SY97 chassis, started in 05. So the chassis stuff was out there on how to drop weight, how to get the cars to launch at the track, and all of that stuff. A lot of people use the Cobra Jet factory stuff suspension wise to get there. I've tried a few different routes. I started with a QA1 strut on the front that was a coilover strut, and ended up at a Viking that's quite a bit lighter than the QA1 was. Sorry, QA1, it is what it is.
You run what works.
That's it. And the Viking is lighter. It works better. The spring rate was kind of dead on for me. I also run the Vikings in the rear, dual adjustable, all four corners. Weight was the name of the game. We wanted to get some weight out of the car. Factory weight was 3650 without a driver. Currently, the car's right at 600 pounds lighter than that.
Nice.
230 of that. This blew me away. I got some scales here recently that I've been wanting for ever and ever. But the wheel and tire combo, when I went from a 19-inch kind of a factory style wheel to the drag setup, was 230 pounds alone.
Wow.
So a
this setup.
yeah, the 2.0 Lumistar fronts, and then the RTS on the rear. This was actually from Drag Week 2017. So this was my first time on a 28-10.5 slick with the car. It loved that tire. I love that tire. I'll run it again. It's a great
That's
little
the
tire.
same tire I run on my car.
Yeah,
A 28-1050 stiff wall.
Yep. You can't go wrong. Stick cars like a bias tire. That's for sure.
Absolutely. And I mean, some of the guys have been starting to move over to radials, and they're having a lot of luck with it. But I'm kind of an OG sort of dude. I'm always going to have a diaphragm clutch in my car. I have bank shift billies on my stuff, so I'll have ways to control it and whatnot. But I'm just not that guy. I'm gonna run a bias on my stick car. I don't care if that's not the cool thing that's going on right now, but I like to drive it there and I like to drive it home. So it's got to have something to give, and the tire is a lot easier for me to accept than the clutch or the rear end or both, or the drive shaft spitting out of the thing. So yes.
Yeah. And I've tried numerous tires. I've had a regular radial. Yeah.
Who has a stock Eliminator Fox Mustang that has a stick in it. That actually had a record for a couple of years, and in even consecutive years, says yes, radials are for people who hate their clutch.
Amen to that. Yeah. So, and I've tried them. I tried a Radial Pro on the car for a little while, and it was just a little too harsh. And luckily, I didn't spit any parts out from under it. But yeah, the bias ply is where it's at. As far as so I did the shocks, the aerospace components. I did their front brakes. The car had a factory 4-piston Brembo on there from the factory. Very heavy brake, very big rotor. We lost pretty close to that was a tough day there, but we lost we lost pretty close to I think it was right at 100 pounds on those front brakes. It was insane. This was the final day of the first year right here, and I was really chasing Mr. Mike Anger a little bit there, and you see the ice bag on the intake, trying to get every little tenth I could there. Well, I was at Bandimere, so it was 100th. Let's be real.
Right.
But yeah, so from the suspension, we did Heim jointed lower and upper control arms, adjustable upper, one drive shaft from drive shaft shop. Going forward from there, I did a Ben Calamer MT82, and this was one of his early trans. So
okay,
it has a lightened gear set. It's cryo treated and rim polished. It absolutely has all the bells to it. The only thing we didn't, we could have dropped 6th gear for a little weight savings, but I decided to keep overdrive because I like high speed flybys.
Same. If you watched the episode with Darce last week, you understand. I like high speed flybys as well.
They're just fun. That's just the way it is.
Yeah.
So yeah, going forward from there, we have a RST McLeod clutch that's ready to be replaced.
An RST.
Yeah, RST.
That's what I run in both of my cars, and everyone's you got to go to an RXT, but I like it. I like the way it drives. It's such a good clutch.
Has a little bit of slip built in, I think, at our power level. Let's just say it like that to be safe.
Yeah.
But I would say really reality is both those cars are pretty close to the same, and it gives just a little bit of slip. And I've talked to Bill a little bit about that, and Bill's like when I came over there and raced, he's like, man, that thing works, and really those were probably the last good runs on the clutch. But I am so impressed with it. That clutch was in the car, let's see, 2015. So we're talking 7 years of just absolute abuse, and so many 6,000 RPM launches that it's just not right that it held that long, and it's definitely getting another one for sure.
Well, yeah. I
Um,
mean, it's just such a good clutch, and like I said, it just
yeah,
street drives so well. I don't need to have the best of the best of the meanest. It needs to
mhm.
be able to slip a little bit. Going back to the bias tires as well, I'd rather the tires and then the clutch take the brunt of what's going to be going on here. And if the clutch slips a little bit, it buys me that little bit.
Yep. Yep.
But
So moving on to power, basically it has a long tube header from American Racing Headers. They were the only company that made a X pipe mid pipe with
okay,
the Boss 302 side pipe connectors. So the Boss 302 had a deal called quad exhaust from the factory, and there's these tiny little side pipes. They're like a 2-inch pipe that goes out before the rear tire,
okay,
and it just kind of adds a little bit of sound right at your ear. So if you have the windows down, you can hear it right there, and it's definitely a unique sound. It's one of
can't
those
really see
things
it
that
there.
you can kind of see it, yeah, just a little bit of a tip there. Cooks has a really aggressive one that I ran those for a little while, but they're a little bit low on the clearance, so they ended up getting sold and put the stock stuff back on. But it's kind of neat. So anyway, ARH was the only ones that made X pipe, and I love the sound of X pipes. I have for a very very long time.
Yeah,
Really gone in 60 seconds was the first car that Eleanor, the new one, obviously,
right.
with the X pipe. That small block Ford sounds absolutely insane. The Comet has an X pipe on it. The Cougar will have an X pipe on it. I just
Yeah.
love the way they sound.
Oh, they
Um,
sound
it,
so good.
it
Yeah.
it mixes it up well. And but anyway, they had it. So it's a 1 7/8 primary tube header, X pipe, factory quad pipes, and then it has a over the axle pipe from Borla.
Cool.
Those were a one piece. The first year I had issues with a two-piece one that was this the slip fit was disconnecting. So this is stuff that you learn, right? You're hard on it, you're driving it, you're racing it. The exhaust comes apart, you're under there fixing it all the time. So you find
Yeah.
a part that's better, you replace it with the better part. And Borla was the one that had those over the axle pipes. Currently, it's got a GT500 muffler, and that's kind of been my favorite factory quad tip GT500 muffler. It's not quiet because long tubes and a Coyote, they sound absolutely insane.
They
They
just
can
do.
sound
Yeah.
they can sound awful in my opinion if you really want to go that route. But the stock muffler kind of has a neat sound to it, and it's something that I enjoy it that way. So
I've actually got your YouTube channel up over here, and there's a couple of videos with some exhaust
You guys
sounds and
looking for
whatnot.
a
We'll watch a
treat
quick.
this weekend?
oh,
My brother got the Timberline
at least it's a
model.
Ford ad, I guess.
At least it is. But here's the thing I noticed with your YouTube, and that if you look that up, guys, it's BDAT 100, BDAT 100. Give him some more subscribers. 13 is not gonna cut it for him here. But what I noticed with these videos, hell yeah, is all of them are like not long after you bought the car. 9 and 10
Yeah,
years ago. This is all relatively the car is
the dynos
relatively
are
new.
great.
Yeah, dude, that does not sound that bad because you're right. A lot of Coyotes can
They
sound terrible, unfortunately.
they really can, and it seems to be kind of the going thing. Let's make it sound as loud as you can, and I do my best on Facebook to try to deter all the boss owners from going the attack mufflers and the straight through no muffler exhaust.
Right.
I try my best, and maybe I'm an old guy. I'm 45 years old, but it is what it is.
That's part of
The
the
old,
deal is you
yeah,
get to be an
yeah,
old guy and you're like, dude, I've done that. I've sawed the mufflers
yeah,
off my crap, and
yeah,
dude, it sounds bad. So
yeah.
put a muffler in it, please. But no, I got the chance to announce the Mod Nationals last year,
Awesome.
which
Yeah.
was so much fun. And we were in South Georgia Motorsports Park, and it was, the who's who of the modular community was there. And what a cool race that is. And actually just got hired to do it again this year. And it's going to be in Bradenton, which is going to be so, so cool. But I'm looking forward to going back. And and like I've been telling a couple of the Ford guys, Zach and whatnot, I'm admittedly not a Ford dude. I never have been. My story is the opposite of yours. My dad
Mhm.
was a Ford dude. I think it was like maybe my like rebellious nature or whatever to get me out of the throngs of the blue oval. But dude, yes. So it's a very, very cool thing to, like I said, just see all the work you did on this thing. It's like brand spanking new.
Yeah, I didn't waste any time modifying the Banks car. When we get a little shit about that, right? You go buy a new car you're beating the crap out of it. It was at the drag strip with the temp tag on it. It had a paper tag on it at the drag strip, and
It's awesome.
getting those baseline numbers. And there's a picture of Julesburg. That's a bucket list track. I need to get over there this year and
Oh yeah,
make a few passes there. It's one of my favorite places. It's such a beautiful place. There was someone working there that day, and I asked if I could get a shot. And this was on during race week. We were just in the neighborhood kind of deal, but
yeah.
what a place. No guardrails. I'm not sure if it still doesn't have guardrails, but
It
just
looks
absolutely,
exactly like this. The
yeah,
time boards are on where like the right of your car is there.
yeah,
They don't have time boards out in the field or anything. But the Rocky Mountain Stick Shifters race Julesburg. So I will either look it up or I'll make sure I get you a schedule for that. And you should
nice.
definitely come out and bang gears with us out at
I,
Julesburg.
I I need to, and that race, that class, that's one of my favorite classes. I wish I could be more active in that. And we talked a little bit about it, but 2018 and 1920 kicked me in the nuts a little bit as far as life went, and starting to turn that around and put a smile back on my face and play with my cars a little bit,
Hell
and
yeah, dude. Hell
hopefully get out there and play with some of the stick shift guys. That's always good fun for sure.
I can't wait. I'd love to have you out. I'm a member now, so
Nice.
yeah. So I'm in the points and the whole mess, but it's going to be super fun. And like I said, they do race at Julesburg a bunch, and it's such a cool just old school track, and what a fun time.
Yeah, amazing place for sure. Just the history there, and watching an airplane land right after we took that picture. It's like it's still active. It's
Right?
crazy.
Yep. Exactly.
Yeah.
So rewind. Let's rewind a little bit.
Okay.
Let's get back into that first Rocky Mountain Race Week. Kind of what brought you to Race Week? What kind of preparations did you make? Where, kind of walk us through that and get us all the way through the race itself.
You got it. Really, Hot Rod Magazine is kind of what pushed me into the week long racing stuff. The fastest streetcar shootout was my first taste of street cars going really fast. And
Mm-hmm.
back then, Larson's car was pink. I'm not sure if you remember that or not,
Oh,
but
I do. I do.
it was. I thought it was just beautiful. It was a cool paint job. It was of the era.
Oh
It was
yeah.
just neat. And he wasn't the only one, but there's a bunch of all those Pro Street Camaros. I can't remember the company that was on their door of all those cars, but there was like a yellow one and a red one, and it was like
Yeah.
they were all legit fast. I think back then there was high eights and low
Right.
nines and stuff, and
Right.
they were getting it done. And this was like 1993. So I was a freshman in high school, and I'm looking at this stuff going, yeah, put that on your goals in the future. You want to do something like that and have a car that's legit and could get down through there and make the trip. So
It,
yeah, that's where it started for me, was the
for me, it
magazine.
was pump gas drags. That
Yeah.
was so it was a little bit later than yours, but
Yep.
these guys just going and it was kind of the same deal: high eights, low nines on
Hmm.
regular like 93 octane everyday pump gas. So yeah, we're the more we talk, the more I realize we should probably just be best friends because like
Yeah,
we
we
basically
kind of
have the
already
same
are.
shit.
Yeah, we already are. And like you said, with the wanting to keep this, your first view with the guys that did the first years of that, like 2015, I won't get too far ahead on it, but it was pretty cool. Just the way we ended up being a family at the end of the deal. There's 60 or 70 of us that finished that thing, and
Yeah.
maybe 120 I think that started it. It was just epic, and so many damn good memories and great people. Darce was one of them. He helped me out one day. I ran a little too much E85 out of the car, and he gave me E98 to put in the car to
Hell yeah.
limp to the gas station and make my own blended E85 that day. But yeah, so it was wild. So 2015, let's start out with what Matt created something so cool, and it was in our backyard. I definitely had started to look at doing a long distance deal with the car. 2013. So I bought the car in October of 2013, September. That was the name. There it is. Darce. Yep. Thank you, sir. Cars was the builder of those cars.
Yep.
Imagine that. But basically, 2013, we went to Bowling Green, Kentucky. My wife and I. It was like one of those relationship test trips, and it succeeded. This was at Bowling Green, right there in the stands under the canopy. So we had an amazing road trip out there. Ran the car in the True Street class. I think I was in the 12-second bracket and ended up second place. Story of my life. I've got too many second place trophies. One of these days I'll get that number one, but it is what it is.
Well, yeah.
But yeah, that was the first,
here's your number one. Bam.
Yeah. Amen to that. You said it. Heck yeah. Yeah. And so, yeah, we drove the car out there. We raced, we drove the car home. And that was the first test, right? The car was pretty much stock at that point. Did have an axle back exhaust, but other than that, it was stock. So it wasn't like it was anything crazy. But yeah, so that was 2013. So fast forward a couple of years, Matt puts this deal together and kind of starts blowing up the local Facebook on, hey, we're gonna do, dare I say, drag week style race in Colorado. And I'm like, how perfect is that? I live in Colorado. I like to drag race, and so we definitely signed up right away and have continued to. Have donated money a couple of years when I wasn't able to make it, and we'll do that proudly. If I have it,
exactly. It's just
I'll give it up if I have it. You know what I mean? I believe in what they're doing, and I believe in Matt and June and you and just the family. Just it's amazing that just the way it's turned out to be such a family deal.
Oh yeah, in the community, and we'll kind of get into that a little bit because that kind of touched you on the way to drag week. But yeah.
So yeah, we'll get into kind of the prep side of it. Basically, the car was built to a certain point. It had the long tubes. It had a tune. It wasn't the tune that's in it now or the tuner that I'm using now, but I wish it was at that point. But that's how you learn, right?
You live and learn, man. Sometimes you waste some money in the process.
Exactly. So we had some issues with the throttle body closing on us at top end on the first year, and we tried a few things to fix it, and really, unhooking the battery was kind of the fix there. But as far as prep goes, the car was already built and already running kind of low 12s. We weren't really where I wanted to be. I was hoping to run a 12.0 at Vandermeer was the goal. If I'm going to be in the 12.0 class, I need to run a 12.0.
That's going to be your
Vandermeer.
slowest class. So
exactly,
the slowest track.
Yep. Yeah, and everywhere else you speed up a little bit. Even Pueblo is pretty close to junction as far as times for me. You gain a little bit there. Maybe a tenth or two is what it seemed like, and then of course Kansas and Nebraska, you pick up almost a half a second is what I've picked up in the past. So it's pretty key to get that 12.0 at Vandermeer. So like I say, prep wise, the car was already built the way it was. At that point, we weren't on E85 or anything. We're just running pump gas.
Pump gas, right?
Yeah. So that part was a little easier, but we felt like, you got a new car, you got AC, you can go make the trip in the middle of June and make it happen. And we were glad to have that AC, I tell you. And for newbies, one of the big tools, and I've posted this picture a few times, is a road atlas. If you don't have a road atlas, go ahead and get one, because some of the road names you're going to get on the directions are stuff that you're not going to see anywhere else but on a road atlas.
No,
So,
that's 100% true, dude. It just
yeah,
is.
yeah.
It just
So
is.
yeah, so that year we ran on the tires that we drove over there on the rear and the front. We didn't change any tires or nothing. So yeah, the car was pretty much set up, and we went for it, and we did pretty good. I think we ended up 12:43 was the average
That
at the end of the
not
week,
bad.
and
Not
we
bad.
got third place 2 years in a row. But third place, you learn a little bit, and uh, it it definitely changed. This is the big thing, and this is what I tell kind of everybody that does this stuff. I encourage everybody to do a drag and drive event. What it will do, if you've got a drag car, if you've got a bracket car, it doesn't matter. This is going to change how you build your cars.
Mm-hmm.
It's going to change how you look at other people's cars. It's going to change all that. You're going to evolve as a builder and as a hot rodder, because you're going to want to achieve certain things throughout the week. And obviously getting to the last day is number one for everybody. And we're all rooting each other on, believe it or not. And even the guy that got second and first place, I was rooting for those guys the whole week.
Right. Right. It's such a strange sporting event, if you will, because
Yeah.
and even even that first one, you're racing for $1,000 in your class, and
Yeah.
$1,000 isn't a ton of money, but $1,000 ain't nothing either. So that's a thing. Kind of watching these guys and like, man, I really hope he has a good pass. And same deal. Like I won my class that year in the 13.0, and
Mm-hmm.
it was same. I would go make a pass and then would go and watch everybody else make their passes, and try this and try this, and they were from Missouri, kind of the 301 streetcars kind of guys. I think we're both in second and third behind me. So I was over helping them because I'm a Vandermeer guy. We started and finished at Vandermeer. So I was helping them with jetting their car and making sure the stuff was, where it needed to be to try to help them get that car to better me. And then I would, if I needed to, I would go up and see if I could make some more passes and make it happen. But that's what's very, very cool, in my opinion, about especially the drag and drive sort of community. It's such a different thing than anything you've ever done, and it's because of the people.
100%, and the stopping on the side of the road to help people. I've done that before drag and drive events, and I've done it after. And when you see multitudes of people stopping and helping, and I think Bob's Novo is one of the best examples. Him pulling the big block out at a freaking restaurant parking lot.
Right.
Hearing an engine hoist getting pulled across the freaking pavement. I'll never forget that. It's just amazing. And there's 20 people around the engine bay of a little Nova. It's just like, is this real? Pinch yourself.
Like metallic mint green Nova.
Exactly. Yeah.
And I think he said he finished that with the same block, but different crank and rods and pistons, or maybe just the crank was different, but the block was still the same block that was in it. But that's either way. And I'll have him on, and we'll I'm sure we'll have, we'll talk about that. But that was how epic to watch that. And you had seen that before, obviously, in Drag Week. And, the question was, I guess, was this one going to be, even with only 70 cars, as spectacular? And it, without like all the fanfare and with, a little bit of magazine coverage in that RPM magazine that they had that first year,
Mm-hmm.
Without any of that, it was exactly, in my opinion, like Drag Week. It was, there was only 70 cars or whatever that finished. So it was this little pie of what Drag Week was. But I mean, it was the same heroic fixes. It was the same guys doing crazy stuff on the side of the road, and the same people becoming like the best of friends that you can run into now anywhere in the country and shake their hand, and you've got this in common.
Yeah. The cool part about him too was his boy was with him, and
right.
He's learning that this is the attitude, we're not done, we're hurt, but we're not done. We're going to fix this thing, and we're going to get her to the finish. And is really neat. I got to do Drag Week 17 with my dad, and he was actually there with his boy again. So we got to reconnect at a hotel and shoot the shit a little bit. And what a great dude. And his boy was a couple years older, obviously, and just that side of it, like June and Matt's kids running around on the golf cart, and like I felt like they were like a cheerleading section for everyone.
Oh
Like
yeah,
they checked up on me daily. Hey, did you run your average? Did you run? What'd you run today? They were
right.
really into it, and they knew the right questions to ask to like really motivate you and help you, help you feel better about your poor decision to go drag race in the 100-degree heat.
Right, exactly. And I mean, that stuff still lives on today. It's pretty wild, and again, we started, with 70 cars, and it's an easier thing to stop around 70 cars, but now all of a sudden you're 300 or 310, and same deal, man. You'll just be hanging out, and here comes Matt on the golf cart, and hey, are
Yeah.
you guys good? Everything going all right? Was the drive good? Do you need anything? Such a cool feeling and family, and it just brings you right into, dude, they really want me to finish this. Like they don't want this for a magazine article to be, the biggest, fix or blow up or whatever. They want you to have fun and finish the thing, and do it without bringing home a steaming pile of shit.
Yeah, and really, like you say, everybody's rooting for everybody, and that's real. That is 100% real. And like, it's funny. Like I've done some bracket racing over here again, and I kind of got out of that for certain reasons. Let's just leave it at that. But
Yeah,
it helps me to go to the race and like, you know, cheer other dudes on. Like, these guys are my friends at the end of the day. They have like-minded interests. They're drag racers.
right.
We're out here having fun. We should be having fun, and if that means rooting you on after you kick my butt, or vice versa, then so be it.
That's what I
It's
always
it,
tell guys. After you beat me, you have to go win the race now, because
yeah,
I basically get second place then.
yeah, yep.
So yeah, but so yeah, so you get through race week, you end up in third in the 12-0 category, and you guys, same deal. You drove out and drove back to Grand Junction as
Yeah,
well too. So your round trip on this thing would have been, an extra whatever 275 each
it was,
way.
it was 2,100 that first year and
Yep,
a little less the second year, but yeah, right around 2,100 miles round trip. And boy, I did an epic burnout too for 1320 at the end of that race, and
nice.
kind of was a little upset maybe at being in third place there. So I
It
took it out
happens.
on the radials, and uh, so they were kind of maypops on the way home, and we were lucky to get back for sure.
That'll happen. It's part of the deal as well.
I like
And
big
then of course
burnouts.
those first couple of years too, no drive days. So those east west portions of, between Pueblo and Kearney and Great Bend, and I think at the time it was Bandamere. Yeah, it would have been.
Yeah,
Holy moly,
brutal.
dude. We were doing, 400 plus mile days after racing in the morning. That was a ball buster, to say the least, on
Yeah.
those. And again, hot, and just, not,
Ev-
not the most fun,
Yeah,
some of those days.
even in a newer car, it wasn't like, oh, this is just Cadillacing down the road. No pun intended.
Right.
I may look a little tired there, and that's a true damn story, boy. I was absolutely done, and
Yep.
Linnea, bless her heart, she's the best teammate I could ever ask for. And, to have your wife come on the first year and
Damn.
be the actual,
Jeez.
person to help you do everything you need to do and give me
Right.
directions. And she was a good co-pilot, to say the least. And I honestly can't see doing race week at least without her doing it. So I try to schedule that, take that in consideration when I schedule these. And yeah, that's pretty epic to have your wife want to do something like that with you. And man, you're right. It was a beat down, and like that day trip to Bandamere, holy smokes. And I think we
Yeah.
had an optional like car show that first year too. It
Right.
was like, I don't know how many people made it to that thing, but
I sure
holy
as hell
cow.
didn't. I
Whew,
sure as hell did not. And I
me
live like
neither.
5 minutes from Bandamere, so I like made a beeline to my house. And I think I
Yeah.
took like the coldest shower I could take, and took a dump in my own toilet, and
Yeah.
and then went back up to the racetrack, to finish the thing off. But But
Well,
yeah,
now that we're friends, I could come take a dump in your toilet too on
yeah, swing
that
by
occasion. All
anytime. The
right.
301 streetcar guys have basically lived here because they keep blowing head gaskets at Bandamere and blowing holes in pistons and all kinds of shit. So I'm always like, well, guys, I guess you're going to bring it over. And yeah,
Yeah.
now they go to my engine builder when they're in town to fix their clapped out ass cylinder heads. It's all right.
Yeah.
I've got Carlos on next week, 2 weeks from now.
Nice.
So we'll talk to Carlos here in a little bit. But
what an evolution he's been through for
dude,
sure.
I mean, from
Wow.
crashing that car over the barrier on
Yeah.
fire, and yeah, I mean,
That's
it's gonna be good to talk to him.
That's the thing. You root him on before that, and especially after. You know, nobody wants to see a wreck at the track, and it's something that happens. But we all want to see each other walk away and live to build another car. You know,
Yeah,
after all
no,
that.
and I mean, he even did that, and then threw that carcass on his trailer, and then towed it to the rest of the racetracks, and it was like a mobile junkyard. Like he was giving out all the parts off of that thing. He had, I think it was like, I mean, basically like what was left had pretty much all been pillaged. Anything that hadn't been caught on fire or completely broken by the crash, he was like, I mean, radiator, the cooling fan he gave to somebody, the fuel pump went to somebody. I mean, it was insane, man. That was a very, very cool deal for him to, go through that and then bring it along for the rest of the trip.
Yeah, and share parts with everybody and competitors at that to beat his average. And yeah, it just shows how good everybody is on this and giving.
Going into that a little further. So fast forward, drag week, I believe 17.
Yeah, we can go over a little bit of the changes that 2015 made. So
no, totally. I'm sorry. Yeah, totally.
Yeah, no worries. So 2015 is still the stock transmission, stock clutch, and it shows. I shifted horribly. The MT82s are well known with the Coyote. The Coyote can rev, to 8,000 RPM, no problem. The Boss, the factory ship point was 7,000. With the tune, it was 7,500. But if you took it that high, you could not shift. The clutch would not allow it to happen.
Right.
The inertia built in the clutch was made for 7,000. So once you learn that, you just shift earlier. But you can hear it in all the passes, and they're not my best moment. Let's just say that.
It happens.
And I learned a lot from it. And so we switched from a radial to a bias ply. We put the bin Calimer trans in. We put the RST clutch. We did an NGW shifter. We did the stainless clutch line. And really, we kind of just bolstered up that transmission back and forward, so to speak, to where you could actually shift the car at a higher RPM. And the bias ply was probably the biggest difference as far as being able to launch it and get a real consistent 60 foot. With the radial, I was kind of all over the place on 60 feet. And once I went to a bias ply and the good clutch trans and all that stuff, it really lined the car out as far as 60 footing.
Hell yeah.
2016, we were able to get the average to 1217. Super proud of that. Still got third place, so the competition got a little tougher, you know what I mean? And
right.
Did run my first 11-second pass, I believe, in Nebraska that year, and just blew it out of the water. It was like 1173 or something. I was like,
right. You're like,
yeah. Seen a few people run their best there, and what a cool place. And that's like you were talking with Darce, the locations, the different tracks that I would have never really seen or raced at, pretty cool. And then I think I put a picture in there of a car show we had there as well. And I think it was in Nebraska, or maybe that was in Kansas. I can't remember which place, but anyway, that was a blast. The Thorpes became fast friends with those guys. Especially the year 2, we kind of hung out, we drove together. That was my pack. We kind of rode around together as a group. And it's a little car show lineup. There's
I don't even know. I may not have gotten it all of them over.
No, it's all right.
You actually sent me like 714 pictures.
I did. I was trying to keep my face off of the screen.
Right.
There we go. Yeah.
Yeah. But now you're mostly hidden. Good job.
No, but Rich Thorpe and Sarah, they're amazing people, and we became buddies real quick. And they're also running the top of their class too. So it was fun to help each other out and root each other on. And it was good. We made an improvement that year and felt good about the changes that were made to the car and made
Oh
it
yeah.
more consistent. And so, boy, I thought I was ready for the big deal. Let's go across the country and
The
go to
big show. It's
yeah,
time.
let's go to drag week. And so I was working nights at the time, right before race week, and so I would work a week on, week off, and so
Mhm.
I worked right up to the day I left, and then I took that whole next week off after my regular days off. So I had 3 week window to go do drag week, and put a hitch on the car, put a trailer behind the car, and put a spare transmission and way too much shit in the trailer,
Oh yeah.
and
Let's see.
drove
That's this one.
there you go, and drove the car from Junction to Denver, just Junction to Denver, and as a Colorado cat, basically the highway is just pothole city, you know what I mean, and
Oh,
it
it's a
never
mess.
ends. So the car was on a drag spring, and it was a little too low. Let's just say that it was hitting the bump stops, which are out on the outside edge. That's the before the new springs, and that is after. So you can tell a huge difference there.
Oh
Um,
yeah.
it was ugly, and so like I say, I was working nights, so I just drove at night. So I left the house at 7 p.m. and took off and made it over into Denver and was hating life and
Of course.
took a break or two and then kept on going. But I put a post up. I can't remember how early it was, but it was way early, and I can't remember if it was on the Rocky Mountain Race Week page or where it was. Maybe it was just my personal page, but we knew each other. You and I knew each other at this point. We'd done
Yeah.
a couple of years of drag racing, and you appreciated the car. So that it was like I said, you said we could be best friends. We already are. You know
We
what I
pretty
mean?
much
And
are. I mean, right.
yeah, I feel that way with so many people that I may not call you every day or talk to you every day, but the friendships are built in that
Oh
heat of
yeah.
the battle, and
Oh yeah.
where we're trying to make the same thing happen for each other. But anyway, I put a post up saying, "Hey, I need a set of stock springs for this car," and I'm on my way to Kansas City is kind of where I was, and it was still early. It had to have been 4 or 5 in the morning. And you responded and put a all points bulletin out, man. And uh, I didn't even make it from the gas station to the freaking entrance ramp of the highway. And I think Stephen Hart had
Yeah. Steve
already
Hart.
answered. He'd
Yep.
already answered, "Hey man, I work at O'Reilly's. I can get you a spring. What do you need?" And I'm like, "What?" And he goes, "Yeah, what are you looking for?" So I gave him a rundown of what springs would work. He ended up having in-house, in stock, a set of GT500 factory rear springs, and
Yeah.
so I finished my drive, slept for 2 or 3 hours, and changed the springs out underneath that awning there,
Yep.
and it was like shade. You had a little bit of shade, so it was like I unloaded the trailer obviously, and
Yeah.
pulled the springs out, put the new springs in, and that made the trip. I was at the stop sign, man. I had beat myself up and my car up to the point where I was done. I was throwing the towel in literally on day one of travel,
Right.
and I was hating myself for the decision I made to do this. I was hating myself for the trailer. I was like, what were you thinking? You know what I mean? I didn't get any test miles in because I was working nights, and
Right.
that if I could say anything to people that haven't done it, test, drive that stuff, drive it
And
how you're going.
have it loaded.
Yep.
Put all your shit in it and go take it for a 150-mile drive.
Yeah, or more, and do that a few times. Then bolt check your stuff and see what comes loose, and get used to that. Put Loctite on it. The driving. Of course, we can all fix stuff, and that's part of the drama is fixing it when you break it. But if you can think ahead a little bit and be a little better prepared out of the gate, you know what I mean. That's a big plus to have all that
Maybe
done.
if
Yeah.
you prevent it from breaking, then
Yeah.
it's better.
But the people, it's just amazing, like Don McGinnis come down and just hung out and shot the shit with me before I left. And but Steven, hooking a brother up with those springs, shout out to Steven on that. And a great dude, and just you putting the bulletin out there like that early it just blew me away. I couldn't believe how quick the messages were dinging in my sliding in the old DMs, you know,
sliding in the old, yeah, exactly. And
"Woo."
I'm not sure exactly, like at that point I was managing the store I was at, so I was up super
Yeah.
duper early. And I think I was
Mhm.
just sitting at work and I was like, huh, I bet I know some people in Kansas. And I mean, because that's where Race Week goes, dude.
Yep.
We're Colorado, we're Kansas, and we're Nebraska. And
Yeah.
that's so now we've got good old boys in Kansas and Nebraska that can help us out with anything that we need.
Yeah, I had a buddy, Clint Bates, that's just a Mustang guy that we've become friends. He had a Grabber Blue Boss 302 as well, and turned it into a really wicked race car that went sevens eventually. He was in Oklahoma area, and he said, "Hey man, if you need a shop or something when you come through, just hit me up." So it's just even your friends, you know, that are on Facebook, you know, that's all you know them by. You know, there's still
Right.
good people in America, and we'll all help each other until we can't. And you know, I've loaned out my garage to Bill Armstrong when he came over. He needed a
He
place to
went
work on his
to
stuff.
Yeah, he went to Utah, I think, right? And had
Yeah,
trailer problems.
yeah, he had trailer problems, and here again, I'm on night shift, so he's hitting me up, and I'm like, yeah, man, I can help you, but I'm, you know, an hour away from the house, and I'm
Right.
not coming home until 6 in the morning. So I have to hit Linnea up at, you know, 10 o'clock at night, and she fires up the Boss. Badass chick. She fires
Right.
up the Boss,
Right.
pulls it out of the garage, fires up the Comet, pulls it out of the garage,
It's
so
awesome.
that Bill can go in there and raid the garage and make stuff happen to get his trailer fixed and move it out. And you know, I mean, how cool is that? Just to you feel better if he goes and wins that race. I feel better about it because I was a part of it. You know, I
Yeah,
didn't have to
exactly.
be there. I was stuck at work, but you know, I was still part of it.
Exactly. Exactly.
Yeah.
So drag week 17, what class, how'd that kind of fare? How'd that turn out?
Uh,
I know how it turned out. And you,
Yeah, got a chip on my shoulder on that. I got unfinished business big time on that deal. NA
yep.
small black street race was the class. Absolutely amazing stuff that runs in the eights with a
Yeah, and
small block,
we've had
naturally
Jason
aspirated.
Tabscott on Rocky Mountain Race Week, and that thing went 850s. And yeah, naturally aspirated, small block, small tire. You know, yeah, it humbles a dude real quick because you got
Yeah.
something for someone in Colorado, but then you go travel over here, and I mean, you ain't even got a candle to hold.
I love it though, you know, because you know competition builds ingenuity, and
Oh
you're
yeah,
going to come up with stuff to get a little quicker. And obviously, I learned a lot from 2015 and applied that to 16, and made improvements. And really, like this next trip, I'm even further ahead of all that, right? And that's because of what happened on Drag Week. And so, you know, you're outgunned to say the least in that class, but I really dig the class. I
oh
dig
yeah.
my car in that class. I
hmm
dig that, you know, it's a stick car. It's an NA Coyote. I truly believe I can do with correct preparation. I can do a 10-second average in that class on a drag week back east somewhere, and that's a goal for sure.
Oh
And
yeah.
I'm gonna hit it. You know, I ended up DNFing. We the third day we had voltage issues. I remember a few people recommending lots of different stuff, but told me for sure, do not charge your phone in your car. And I charged my phone all day in the car, and I had an underdrive pulley on the alternator, which was a huge mistake. The alternator was only putting out 12.1 volts at idle, so it was discharging the battery as we drove, no matter what. So idling, charging your cell phone, DNF third day. I made the rest of the trip with everybody. Got to do the trip with my dad, which is absolutely priceless.
Right.
Yeah, we had a blast together. We laughed our asses off, and he got to drive the car a bunch. And you know, he's a gearhead. He's a car guy. You know, I may not have gotten all of my fuel for the fire from him, but great guy, supports me in everything I do, and I'm so very thankful for his support and the fact that we did that whole trip together. Um, Ended up that trip. Ran my best ETs 1143 123
Hell yeah.
in St. Louis. So the springs, let's go back to the rear springs. I had to put those GT500 springs on while I was kind of stuck with them for the whole week.
Right.
So that changed everything for me. I was able to get 153 60 foots out of the car, but really, when I went out there, my intentions would go 140s, and that's what I wanted. And it just, I could never get it all right because of the spring rate, right? The spring rate changed so much, and I just wasn't prepared for that.
Well, and yeah, you almost have to relearn how to drive the entire
Yeah.
car because that changes so much.
Yeah. And I still kick myself. I didn't do the shootout at the end of the week with Puckett, and I should have done that. And Brian Lum came down that year in the ZL1, and
Mm-hmm.
it was super cool to kind of reconnect with a bunch of people. Don McGinnis and his boy Shelby, and it was neat to see a lot of familiar faces, right? And
Yep.
you're that far from home, and you're seeing all these familiar faces. The Berries were down there.
Oh yeah.
So that was cool. It was like I kind of ran over to him. Oh, Colorado people, it's like,
yeah, and they're super cool too. They're like, oh my god, I don't even know you, but I'll hug you, and you're awesome.
Yeah.
And Shelby, by the way, rest in peace. Don unfortunately lost Shelby to cancer, and that's a tough deal, and really, really sad to kind of watch that happen. But he was one of us, dude, and it always sucks watching one of us, not make it. So may he rest in peace.
Absolutely agree. Yeah.
But so real quick, I want to run through a few of these pictures that you sent me that we don't really have any backstory for. So I'm just going to kind of run through them, and you just tell us what's going on here.
Okay.
Let's see here. Oh, there we go. How about this one?
Wow. So big into the 60s funny cars. These, the car on the right is Don Nicholson's 66 Mercury Comet called the Eliminator 1. This was the first flip top funny car. In the right lane, I can't remember the Pontiac driver. I'm sure Darce will help me out here. But it was a very cool Tiger themed paint job car, and obviously they're wheels up. If everybody would just pause this or take a picture of your screen or whatever you need to do, there's people in the trees in the background watching this race. And I mean,
there actually are. That's super funny.
Yeah, it's one of my favorite pictures I've ever found. And when you work night shift, you find all kinds of cool shit on the internet. And the people in the trees, what blew me away. But obviously, I have a Comet. I love the Comets. The flip top funny cars. What an evolution that was. And pretty wicked stuff.
Totally. That is awesome. The people in the trees. I mean, how cool is that? I go down to the racetrack and climb in the tree, watch some drag racing. Arnie the farmer.
That's right. Yeah, that's it.
Totally it.
Yeah,
that's totally it. All right. This one.
This one, I think this is one of Don's old bodies. So like you can tell by the taillight, this is a 67 Mercury Comet Cyclone. I think this one, I can't remember the dude's name, but he was a really good racer, and he would kind of buy everybody's used stuff, and he'd kick their ass with it. And just another cool 60s funny car. I mean, how about a wheels up burnout for your
seriously
day? You know what I mean? It's just absolutely killer.
What about that?
This is a 67 Cyclone I found local. I only put one pickup, but it wasn't a real sweet car to say, but the original engine was blown up, so there was no engine when I bought it. I scrounged up some parts, built a little 390, bought some really trick performance headers for it in the chassis. They were like a Ford Specialties. I can't remember the name of the damn headers. It's been too long, but it was a tri-way header, really neat. Got the car running and driving and back on the road. Just a neat car. I love the Coke bottle sides of these 60s muscle cars.
They're neat and being FE powered and stuff. That's a super cool ride.
Stacked headlights, cool grill, the faux ram air hood, on the Cyclone. That was a Cyclone only deal. Right. I've learned a lot about the Mercuries, and there was like 7 different models in 66 and 7 that you could get. They all started with Comet, and then you could. There was a Comet Capri. There was a Comet 202. The Cyclone, of course. The Comet Caliente is what my red car is.
That one's a Comet Caliente?
Yeah, that is a Caliente.
Caliente. I like it already.
Yeah, the very back is the emblem that says Caliente on there. And
I like it.
yeah, yeah, it's pretty wicked. But yeah, that Cyclone, we got it back running again. And actually, the dude that bought it, cool story. He ended up he took his honeymoon in a car identical to this, white
No
car,
kidding.
red interior, FE C6. Him and his wife went on their honeymoon in that car. Had to, had kids, had to sell the car or whatever. Ended up 20 years later, here I am posting the car for sale after I got it running. And he came with a story and a picture of him and his wife on their road trip. And I mean,
Wow.
you want your stuff when you have to sell these. You don't want to sell any of them, but when you do, you want them to go to a good home. And boy, that one really did.
I was going to say, how do you not sell that car to that guy?
Yeah, 100%.
I mean,
No
even if he's
no
doesn't have the
haggling there.
money, you're like, we're going to figure this out, dude. You have
Yeah,
to have this car back.
no haggling there. We went for a ride around the neighborhood in it, I took him and his wife for a ride, and it was just so cool to see their faces. They just were, it was the quietest, nobody had to say anything. We just all understood that like this was their way back machine. And it's going to be cool for them, to relive their honeymoon in this car when they get it all done.
How freaking cool is that, man?
Yeah.
That is cool. How here, this one.
So this is like the script of 2-lane blacktop, and it's sitting on a dash of a 55 Chevy. 2-lane's a big part of my gearhead love. And I came home from school one day, I think sophomore year, and I kicked the TV on and went and grabbed a snack in the kitchen, and I hear V8s dumping clutches and doing burnouts, and I'm like, what is that? And I ran to look at the TV and see the opening scene of this movie. And the 55, I believe, is racing a Plymouth Cuda there, the opening scene. And so I went ahead and stuck a VHS in there and recorded over my mom's soaps. Sorry, Mom. And recorded my first edition of 2-Lane Blacktop. I've got DVDs. I got special editions of it. I don't have a script book like this. I'd really love to have one, but what a cool movie. And this is, let's go drive across the country and drag race our way to get there. They would literally bet their tools against some cash to make enough money to have gas money to keep on going. And if you've never seen the movie 2-Lane Blacktop, it's worth a watch. It has probably some of the worst acting and horrible script.
It's terrible, but it is
it's so good.
A cult classic.
It's so good. Yeah.
It just is. And how old would you say you were when you recorded 2-Lane Blacktop?
14 years old.
There you go. Nice.
Yeah.
Very nice. Talk about this one.
This is my buddy Kelly Harris. Love you, brother. This is his 5-window Deuce, real Henry car, steel flames.
Nice.
Been this way for 50 years. 5-slot mags, small block Chevy. He's had so many different iterations of the small block in it. It's kind of crazy, but was in the 12s when I was in high school. And my
was
Cougar's
pretty wicked.
Yeah. Mid 12 second car that was cruising around, it was just, I was like, wow, can we be best friends? Can you teach me your ways? You know what I mean? That's kind of how it was. And I latched on to him. He was one hell of a father figure to me as a young kid, and great dude, and still very good friends with him to this day. But the Coupe's one of my favorite cars ever. The 5-window 32, and his is just killer with the, black with flames. It just, it just shouts hot rod. And like my Cougar in high school, when I first raced that car, it ran 19s, and it was just awful. It was just awful.
That's
it's just the way it was. It was a low compression Cleveland with a 2-barrel, and had a horrible vacuum leak that I didn't know about at that. So once I cleaned it all up and got into the low 16s with it in high school still, and ended up getting a second place trophy with it in the high school drags class. And
hell yeah.
So it got a little quicker as the days went on. And I've destroyed 3 351 Clevelands with that car and a couple of transmissions. And it's kind of been on the back burner, let's say. And it's ready for a comeback. You showed the picture of the little 408 Windsor.
It's a 408.
Yeah, it's a little 408 stroker. It's got the AFR 205 heads on it. It's going to be a fast EFI 2.0
Cool.
fuel injection on there. Probably going to put a little plate underneath that. I actually just scored a wicked little C4. I actually got a gear vendors with that C4.
Oh, dude.
So I didn't intend for that to be a drag and drive car, but it looks like it's going to go that way.
Maybe it's just going to have to be that.
But yeah, that car, you know, when I first met you and we kind of shot the shit at the gas station below Bandimere, you know, the green car, I've always loved green cars, and they're just odd ducks, right? It's one of those, it's not a, you know, it's not a normal car,
Yeah.
race car or color, but the 70s were green, man. The green was everywhere. It was
That's
on
just what it
toilets and
was. That's just what it
carpet
was.
and you name it. But that car is guacamole green inside and out. And hell, I love it for it. And love the rear fenders on that 73. I didn't really like those cars at first, but when you go to buy your first car and you have bread in your pocket, you know, and some old grandma's, you know, trying to sell you this ratty old Cougar, you know, it's like, yeah, I think I like it. You know what I mean? And
Yeah, and they're like, "Are you sure?"
yeah, a lot of people ask me if I was sure, and you know, I kind of failed miserably at finding some of the original picks, and had steel wheels at a time, and then I got a really killer set of 5 slots that they're on it when it's doing that big smoky burnout. But I had a picture in front of our old house that was a really good one. I kind of bummed I didn't get to put that one up here, but nonetheless, that car taught me so much, and just the work ethic. Like you go to work, you save bread, and you have little builds that you do to a car. You know, I started with just a short block and ended up dropping a valve and hit the piston and took the block out. So
Right, and
I
so
had
you're
to
like,
start all
"Great."
over again. You know,
May as well
guess
just
I should
burn
have.
that.
Yeah, I guess I should have saved up for the heads, and like you just those little lessons that you get early on. You know, that car taught me a ton of those.
Hell yeah. What about this one?
Ah, this is my buddy Mel Ways, Super B. Mel's not with us anymore. He built this car for his wife, Carol. His sons, Scott and Lance, are some of my best friends, and love those guys. But this car was around in that era, you know, when I was in high school still. Just one of those sweet, big and little 6-pack hood, big block,
Right.
just an awesome car. Had the right sound, had the right stance, beautiful build. Yeah, good stuff.
Very good stuff.
Another one of those guys that, you know, was racing around, and you know, street racing was kind of big in that era, and there was a bunch of these older dudes that was street racing, and I was just a punk, you know, skinny little punk out there tagging along, and I got to be friends with some of these guys. And Mel was one of those. He had an amazing Demon as well, a little 340 Demon. He bought the car new. Scott still has it, and I'm hoping that car comes back to life here real soon.
Yeah, hell yeah. And that's one of those, like, you kind of walk among giants a little bit there.
Absolutely.
You hang out with these people, and that's a lot of what racing does, and really just racing as a whole, not drag and drive necessarily only, but racing as a whole. You're watching these guys, and you're like, wow, like that's the coolest thing I've ever seen. And then you go over to their pits, and they're nice, and they're super cool, and you become fast friends with them. And that's kind of what happened with me and Matt. That's what happened with me and Darce. Just so many guys that I'm like, I can't even believe it. Anything that these guys are going to hang out with me or talk to me or anything, but they're super cool, and they're very,
Yeah.
It's a regular everyday, guy that puts his pants on the same way that we do, and maybe has a little more bread than you and I do or whatnot, but still has to budget all his stuff, do all everything that he's got going on. So that's such a cool deal to just to hang out with guys and meet dudes that become kind of are your heroes and become your buddies and end up being family.
Yeah, and you know, you see the cars done, right? Like, and obviously my Cougar's in complete disarray, needs a full restoration inside and out, and it has since day one. Let's be real, that's exactly how it was, just a pile when I bought it, and I loved it anyway. It didn't
Right.
matter to me what it looked like.
It does.
It
Yeah,
was
it's
it was
yours.
my car. Yeah, it was my car, and I built it the way I wanted, and you know, it's been sitting for about 20 years waiting its turn again. But I've been gathering parts slowly, and
Right.
I'm gonna bring that thing back, and it's gonna rip, and those people that were there and raced that car, even though it was kind of slowish back then, their influences, like you say, seeing a car that's beautiful like that be in the coupe, the stuff
Right.
that's done. It's not only done, but it's been done for a very long time. It shows you that, hey, if that guy can do it, so can I. You know what I mean? You just got to apply yourself in whatever you need to do to reach your goals and get better jobs and figure it out and get to that finish line with your own stuff.
Right. Ed wants to know about the Hillborn that's in the background behind you.
Yeah, I definitely wanted to be the first guy to be interviewed with a Hillborn in the background.
And you are. You're the first dude that we've had. Yeah. No big deal.
Yeah, I'm a bad motherfucker.
Yeah, there it is. So yeah, what's that for? What's going on?
So it's a little 289 Hillborn. This, as well as a speed part local to us that has a lot of history. It's been on a few different cars. It was on my buddy's 66 Mustang, a little 289 deal. Wicked fast. I believe he was in the 12s when he was in high school, and he was 20 years my older. So he was a fast dude here locally.
Right.
Then it ended up on a little Fox body Mustang that was a tube chassis, big tire deal, had a little 302 in it.
Mm-hmm.
I think it tickled the nines in that deal. Sadly, it hasn't been on anything since. It was destined to go on the Comet at one time. I had a little wild hair and was like, hey, maybe I need a methanol breathing 289 Hillborn injected deal. I mean,
who does?
I have a hood with a hole in it, so I mean, why not?
Right.
But that's the deal. It's an old Hillborn mechanical stack injection, and I've got everything. It's complete. It's got the water neck, and it's got the fuel pump, and everything's there. And,
hell yeah!
I worked hard for that. I actually did remodeled my buddy John's shop. He had some very asbestos siding on his deal, and I probably took a few years off my life replacing the siding on his shop, and worked nights and weekends. I used to do home building and remodeling and stuff like that. So I did that for a few weeks, and that was my gift. And I was hoping some cash on top, but I never did get the cash. So
I hate when that happens. But still, I mean, you took off some of the diaper years on the other end, and you got a Hillborn.
Yeah.
So I mean,
yeah, it's a wicked little part. Yeah, I love it. I also got a tunnel ram from the same guy, and it kind of has some history too. There was a little 66 Stang here in town that had his old 289 stuff that was pretty wicked quick, 14.5 1 compression stuff.
Totally. Yeah.
Just a stupid car. It wasn't really a street car per se. It's kind of weird too. It had a hardtop that the guy cut to where he could make it a roadster or a hardtop.
Huh.
And there's a little intersection here in town that there was a merge lane about a quarter mile from the stoplight. And the Cougar, when it was at its best, Cleveland number 3, probably about 450 horse around that, had ran deep in the 13s at 108 with that combo. We got it on that deal, and he put it to me. It was a little single 4 tunnel ram for a little 289, and he had a 750 Dominator carb on there. I'll never forget the combo. It was just a cool combo and fun to tangle a little bit on the streets. And
hell yeah,
that was one of those. Hey, is that the intake that was on that car? And he goes, oh yeah. And I'm like, oh,
I gotta have it. I gotta have it.
I need that. So I've tried to be that same guy. You learn, like you say, you learn from those older guys, and they were smart enough to latch onto those parts. And when I see it, I try to do the same thing.
Hell yeah. I got one more, then we're gonna run through some questions, and I think we're gonna call it a night because I gotta pee. But this one.
You gotta love these guys. Daphne. We all love her more than words can describe. And this first year, they were all there together. I ended up giving Cole a Crescent Ranch, for I think the nitrous line was leaking or something like that, and he ran over frantic. I need some kind of wrench, and I gave him a few options, and he took him running back over there. But what a beautiful family. Chad, love you to death, brother. Cole, you're an amazing dude and grown up way too fast. Congrats on the new house. And Daphne, we love you so much. You're
miss her so much. And
one badass wicked chick.
Love the wicked chick, dude. And we lost her to cancer as well. But yeah, got to meet kind of the same deal, man. Got to meet Chad, who was a guy that, again, talk about walking amongst giants. Come on, man. It's Chad from Bang Shifts. Like you're from Bang Shift. Like you're talking about forums. Like in the height of the forums, this is Bang Shift. I mean, it gets no better, no higher than Bang Shift in the middle of the forums. And then of course Daphne, who was driving the car, the Ethel car, and Cole, who, dude, I'm gonna have on next week.
Awesome.
I'm gonna
Yeah.
have Cole on next week, which is gonna be so much fun, man. And I am looking so forward to talking to him. And I told him, I said, dude, I full disclosure, I want to talk about your mom. And he was like, I can't wait, dude. I love telling her story. I love telling
Yeah.
people about how badass she was. And
She was.
from watching him here, dude, I mean, he's a child
I
to
know.
where he is now, and he's fully an adult. And like you said, like snatching up real estate. He's
Yeah.
doing a ton of media stuff for people, and
Yep.
watching him pull himself from, dude, a child
Yeah.
to where he is now. It's so
Yeah.
cool, and I'm really really looking forward to talking to him next week.
Pretty sure the whole RaceWeek family is a real proud parent, feeling for Cole, and
Oh yeah,
just what he's achieved and what he's accomplished. And I know that there's no end to his success. He's going to be a bad dude. And like
Oh,
you
yeah.
say with Chad, Bang Shift, he's got some good mentoring there, I'm sure, with what to do and what not to do. And
for sure, dude. And he's
tons and tons of hours on Bang Shift myself, and
oh
what a
yeah,
cool site and page, and what an amazing family.
really really amazing, dude. Really
Yeah.
amazing. So just to get us wrapped up here, I'm just going to run us through a handful of questions. And again, these are ones that you probably have heard if you've watched a handful of the previous ones. Again, we're on episode 4 of That's Cool Drink. Episode 5, again, I'll be Cole. And I do have some really, really cool stuff coming up. Alex Taylor said she can't wait to be on. So
Awesome.
I'm going to have Alex Taylor, who was on the very first one of these. I have Larry Larson, who wants to be on. Again, was on the 2015. But I mean, dude, talking about fastest, like streetcar dude, like he's the Pope, man.
Yeah.
He's the Pope. So
I got a good one. I got a good one from Larry in Pueblo. We were down there, and he came. He kind of came over and he goes, "Hey, you want to go faster? You just cut that AC belt off of that thing." He's trying to even the field out a little.
Yeah, exactly. While you're
Yeah.
cruising around 100 degrees and just loving life a
Yeah.
little bit. Yeah, I've got a really good story about a time he farted in my car.
Awesome.
So I can't wait to tell. I'm going to keep that one close until I have him on the show.
Yeah.
But I'm going to have him. I've got Joe Barry coming up very
Awesome.
soon. So, dude, I've got some of the like who's who, and a lot of people are like, well, you can't have all those guys on in a row because you're kind of gonna you're gonna shoot your wad. And I was like, I don't care. I want to get all this out. I want to make this happen. So I think I'm going to have Joe, Larry, and Alex back to back to back.
That's rad. And the cool part about it is, like, you look at YouTube, and like you said, even with my channel, even though I'm not active and don't really film stuff, and the stuff that on there isn't real high quality, it was a moment in time, and I can always go back and revisit it.
Right, exactly. And
Yeah.
yes, Pat, I absolutely am going to have Shaggy on. The very, very first motorcycle racer at Rocky Mountain Race Week. We kind of did it as it was almost a joke. Like, there's no way he's going to be able to do this. And he did. And then the next year, we brought motorcycles on. And if you don't know Pat Cook, he has the Grom, dude.
Nice.
So, yeah, I'm going to definitely have Shaggy on for sure. But let's run through these questions real quick, and I think we're going to call it a night. But, dude, thank you. Before we get started, thank you so much.
Yep.
All of your insight, all the fun kind of talking about your cars and your people and whatnot. It was very, very, very cool.
Awesome. Thanks for having me, Adam. I love it.
All right. Here we go. What is, and I think you answered this, what's the largest thrash that you've ever been a part of?
Yeah, I think Bob's Nova by far. That was pretty wild, and it was like we got there at the right time, and that, like I say, there's 20 dudes around the fender of that car, and the engine was coming out, and it was a little precarious, obviously, and when you got that many hands being able to grab a big block, it sure helps bring it to the ground softly, and we all kind of had a little helping hand then, and that was a really cool moment.
Hell yeah. What is your best memory from a Rocky Mountain Race Week, or you can include a drag week, whatever.
Yeah, there's a couple for sure. Definitely drag week with my dad. I mean, I can't just pick one, but that was absolutely the best, and then obviously running that personal best, during the week in the heat, running in deep in the 11s for the first time I was ecstatic, and actually Doug Klein, I was pitted next to him, and after the pass, I come back and he told me he liked my car.
Right.
Like Doug Klein likes my car. That's pretty rad.
Right. And you're like, dude, you have the fastest all metal car in the country.
Yeah.
And you like my car?
Yeah. What a cool cat, man.
So cool. I've reached out to him, but I haven't gotten anything back. I do have an email for him, but that's it. So if anyone knows how to get in touch with Doug Klein, you let me know. Tell me about the one that got away. What car do you not own now that you wish you had?
I'm going to be a twofer all the way through this, I think. You know what
You're
I mean?
allowed
to. Two cars that got away that I really, really wished I could have kept. The 79 Mercury Capri. It was a competition orange car. That was one of those. I hurt the motor in it, and times were tough, and it just kind of went the wayside. And actually I was living in a trailer house, and I had 8 cars in the driveway of the trailer house, and it was like one too many. So that one had to go. Another car that ended up in that driveway as well was a 57 Ranchero. Just a super cool car. Just when you sit in those and they have the wraparound windshield, it's just something else about them. And I wish I would have kept both of those.
Stevie has access to, I guess her dad has, a 57 ranch wagon. And it's bad. It was sitting in a field. The floors are all gone. Like, we went and looked at it, but it is such a cool car. And
yeah, they're neat.
I think we're going to come up with something kind of like that for her to kind of cruise around. She had that Rambler, being a weird car guy. She had a Rambler 770 with an inline 6, and she cruised it around a little bit, but it wasn't really her cup of tea. But she saw that wagon and fell in love. We're definitely going to end up with an old wagon for sure.
Awesome. Well, that'll scratch your itch of a shoebox as well. You can kind of blend the two, and
sort of.
You may not get to have your 55 Chevy, but a ranch wagon, that'd be a pretty cool combo for sure.
She's watching. She's one of our 2 viewers.
Yeah, awesome.
Okay, what is your favorite endurance drag and drive car or driver that's not you?
As far as cars go, have to be Daryl Yost the first couple of years when the Chevelle was a 4-speed car. Holy shit, that was wicked, man. I kind of have a self-made video of him racing that Cart Bandimere, and it's just wicked, man. Just wheels up launch, banging the gears,
and it's
all over the track.
It's just doing yeah. And in fact, at Drag Week, Brian Loans drew a road map of a drag strip and said, "This is the fastest way down the drag strip with a straight line," and then said, "Here's what you're doing," and it was him.
Yeah.
That's one I need to get on. Daryl and I are actually pretty good buddies. He lives in Baymont, Colorado, which is south of you, but way out there on the western kind of area of Colorado.
We went and visited Durango one time and met up with him and Michelle and had a great time, and also got to hang out with them on Drag Week 17. They're awesome. You know what I mean? They're great people as well. And when I DNF'd, I was steaming. I'm a redheaded dude, and so I think my face was matching my hair color, and he like sat me down and gave me some Triscuits and cheese. It was like, calm down, big boy. You're going to be okay.
Here's some Triscuits and cheese, and quit being a freaking whiner.
Yeah, calm down. Yeah, it's good. But that's one of my favorite cars for sure. Obviously, all the big tire twin turbo cars the first year, the unlimited class. I mean, I just sat there in awe with the tire chatter and the boost coming in on those cars leaving the line. I was just, like you say, I was just in awe because I was just in a place where I didn't ever expect to be. And they may not be my cars, but it was really, really cool to check that stuff out.
Hell yeah. What is your favorite either Rocky Mountain Race Week or Drag Week track that you've been to?
Track, I love Kearney. I love Kearney, Nebraska. The car shows and the track itself, just
Mhm.
the size is just immense, and the surface is amazing. The track food is really killer.
Super good. The
Um,
walking tacos, man.
yeah, yeah, it's amazing. So that one's kind of one of my favorites, and really Bandimere is my favorite track on earth. But that one out of the race week stuff is just amazing.
Totally. Um, Trailer or no trailer?
No trailer, had them both, and I won't do it again.
Uh,
I
it-
won't do
it-
it again.
I'm a trailer guy. I like my
Yeah.
trailer, but I have a little bitty trailer. It's the banana hammock.
Yeah, you're gonna
So
have that thing is epic. Like it's like its own little personality, and I
it
think
is.
that's a good medium. If you can have just that, but we've been able to pack everything in the car, so I think that's why I say no trailer rather quickly. There,
Yeah, yeah. Well, and plus the trailer gave you so many problems.
it was awful.
So, um, advice for newbies.
Like I said before, test your shit. Go out and drive it. Don't put last minute speed parts on it and then expect it to be the same car it was 3 months before or years. Whatever the case is, we all seem to finish these projects right before the opening day and get going. But just test your shit. My buddy here in town, Jonathan's got a badass little GTO stick car that he's going to go do it for the first time, and I chimed in right away. I said, "Man, drive your stuff. Drive your
Like
stuff."
new,
Like,
new school GTO.
yep, yep,
Okay.
yeah,
Yep.
and so that it's a wicked car. It's a little turbo LS deal, and I
Cool.
believe he's the fastest in the country stick shift new generation GTO.
Nice. Nice.
So
That'll be cool.
he's nothing to shake a stick at, and he knows what he's doing. And ought to be cool to see him go finish the week. And like we have Green River, Utah, you can drive over there down the highway and go to Uray, Colorado. I've done both of those trips, and just pick a cool town that's close to you and go make a road trip, and don't just take your untested junk out there and expect it to finish, because you'll find out quick that it won't.
Right. The road is the ultimate humbler.
Yeah.
I mean, you
Yep.
can drive, you can race your stuff like crazy, but you get it out on the road and it's a whole different animal.
Yeah, it tests you and the vehicle. That's part of it too. You're not just testing your car and its ability. You're testing yours to sit in the seat for that amount of time and deal with heat and unforeseen issues. So yeah, it's good. Test your
Totally.
stuff.
And then finally, and if you're watching and you want to kind of toss something in here to ask Ben, please feel free to. Otherwise, I think I'm just going to ask this one, then we're going to call it. But what are some updates you got going for your ride, and what's your next signed up event?
One thing, we did the cars. Driver, I got to give a shout out for my favorite driver and driver moment. Is when Daphne ran her personal best and
Oh,
she finally
dude.
reached her goal of going 11s. She's jumping around like crazy, and the smile was like you couldn't get a picture, a painting, or a sculpture of a better smile on a person than that one right there. And
Yep.
it stays with me to this day. And I just think it was a beautiful moment. And like I say, I love the family, and what an amazing person.
There is such a good picture of that
Yeah,
too, of her in that car and just holding that time slip and the
yeah,
biggest smile on her face.
yeah,
And she had actually, I think the night before didn't actually, or the day before didn't race because she was sick. She was not feeling
yep,
good,
yeah,
and just came out and they were like, "We're just going to do this real quick. We're going to finish the day, and we are going to go back home." And
yeah,
I think she pretty much was in the hospital right after that, and
yeah.
I don't know if she ever actually got out of the hospital from that trip.
Yeah, I don't think so, and that makes it so much sweeter, that it was such a happy moment, and you
Yep,
can't erase it. You can't erase it at all. It's there forever, and what a beautiful kind of goodbye, I guess.
absolutely, absolutely. But yeah,
So as far as me, as far as the car, we're working on a 9 inch. We're going to do a 9 inch swap. The 88 has shown that it just cannot handle the low 150 60 foots with the car. I continue to bend axle shafts. I've been through a couple different ones. I had Mark Williams in there most recently. It just keeps bending them, and it's really an annoyance thing. It kind of the brakes squeak as you go down the road, and
yeah,
eventually it will break it, right? I mean, you bend it enough times the wrong way, it's going to
right,
break. So anyway, we're going to do a 9 inch in the car with a back brace. Going to do a strange aluminum center.
cool.
Going to take the gear ratio up to a 420, kind of an oddball NASCAR ratio,
Yeah.
to get a little more RPM at the stripe out of the car. We are on the wait list for the September race week this year, and we're going to come. I think we're going to come no matter if we get the green light or not.
Get in or not. You're pretty high on the list though, right?
Yeah, 47th, I believe. Yeah.
Yeah. So that's probably going to be okay either way.
Yeah, I mean, I did that for drag week. I drove all the way out there on the wait list. Didn't even know if I was going to race. You know what I mean? So
yeah,
I heard you need to do that, and it's true. You need to do that. If you feel like you want to be there, then go. You know?
Hell yeah. And so you're in the 2.0?
Yeah.
Yeah,
the
so that's
September race.
the race week, the Rocky Mountain edition. So we're doing all the Rocky Mountain Race Week tracks, but it's going to be end of September, early October, which is going to be
Awesome.
super cool because it's going to be cool, and we're going to be up in the mountains, and the all the leaves are going to be changing at that
Yeah,
time.
every time we do these routes, it's absolutely gorgeous. Anyway, my mom lives on one of the back roads back through there, so she had a sign out there cheering us on the one year. But it's some of the country of Colorado that I never had really gotten to see, and I can't wait to see it in fall. It's going to be epic.
It's going to be so cool. But Ben, dude, thank you. This has been so much fun. We're an hour and 40 minutes in, and it feels like we've only been talking for about 15 minutes, to be honest with you, because it has been so cool. But,
Awesome.
man, thank you so much for kind of telling us your story, telling us a lot about what you got going on. And, dude, I can't wait to see you again. You're wearing the 2015 Rocky Mountain Race Week shirt as well, which is super cool. I ruined mine, unfortunately.
Yeah.
I just did, and I threw it away begrudgingly. But
So you remember they had a pilot and co-pilot on them?
yes,
So this is not a pilot one. You notice that. So a little bit upset with myself at the end of that race. We got back to the hotel and I decided Hulk smash, rip my shirt off, literally. Weirdest elevator moment of my life. I get in an elevator with no shirt on, and these people come in there like, what is going on? What is it? I just had a tough week. Leave me alone.
Yeah.
I'll cool off eventually, but kind of one of those moments I'm not so proud of, but you learn from them all, right?
Yes, you do. Yes, you do. But, dude, again, thank you so much. It's been so much fun. Thanks to everyone for tuning in. Pretty much just Leanna and Stevie, I think.
Yeah, that's okay. Our two biggest fans. We love
Exactly.
them both.
I mean, if that's all that's watching, then we're having a good time. And Darce has been on as well. So we appreciate you, Darce, so much. Everybody, thanks for tuning in. We've had a great time here on That's Cool Drink, episode number 4. And thanks again, Ben. Hang out just a second, and we'll talk a little bit as soon as we get done. But thank you guys so much. Appreciate it. Don't forget to subscribe, like, share with your friends. This is a very cool thing that we get to do and again show people kind of the background of a bunch of our friends that we don't really have a lot of time to actually sit down and talk with. So again, Ben Wood, thank you so much.
You're welcome, brother. Thank you.
Absolutely. And everybody, have a good one. Have a good weekend. Thanks for being flexible with us moving to Friday. And I'll be back next Thursday with Cole Reynolds. See you guys soon.
Peace.